here. All right, there we go. So 3, 2, and 1. Well, Mayor Shane, welcome back to Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. Good to see you. Good to see you. How you doing since the last time how you doing since the last time we talked?
Well, the weather is improving, so it's much better.
Much better. Yes. When you can look outside and you can see the sun and you can at least imagine that you're outside working in beautiful conditions, that's just so much better for the soul, isn't it?
It is. We've been long overdue, and it's kind of been a rough spring, especially for baseball. And I think my son's played more rescheduled games than scheduled games.
Oh yeah,
the spring season for high school. So yeah, it's finally improving.
And you've got a brand new baseball mini complex there in Wisconsin Rapids that I'm sure has been not much better, not only on the on your end personally with getting the games in, but on the city's end as well, because a lot of teams have been kind of coming into town to maybe play some games on there. I believe you had a multi-team tournament one weekend there, didn't you?
Yep. Yes, we have. And yeah, it's been filling up, throughout the week with other teams from other communities because their fields aren't ready. So there's been quite a number of games held there, other high schools and softball and baseball teams.
Yeah, and that's just good for the community, because anytime you bring more people in to maybe drop a $20 bill at Quick Trip on their way out of town, it's certainly good for your community.
Absolutely, and the complex was built to be used, and it's good to see that it's being used.
And on that note, with shared revenue, of course, when somebody does drop that $20 bill at Quick Trip, you don't necessarily get a whole lot out of it. But with the new shared revenue plan, we still don't know what form this is going to take.
Correct.
Finally, but you do know that there is a chance that some of that tax dollar could stay in your community as well, at least about 5% of it or so.
That's correct. And we're looking forward to kind of seeing how that all plays out, but it will definitely help communities, with some of those tight budgets that with levy limits, it's hard for communities to have additional revenue, unlike state and federal. They don't have levy limits, and maybe they need levy limits. But because of that, though, the shared revenue and the state sale tax dollars coming in will hopefully change things and kind of make things a little easier on communities.
Yeah, and obviously, again, we don't know what form this is going to take. There's still some politics that need to play out with it in Madison, but in the event that you do end up getting that, I know there's talk about limits on what it could be spent on and things like that. How are you preparing the budget for the upcoming year now with those discussions still up in the air?
So we haven't really started diving into the budget process yet, more so maybe midsummer. So at this point, I always kind of lean on the side that it's not there. So we have to plan our budgets according to where the status is currently today. And then should they change, which I would hope they would be changing for the better, that'll only help loosen things up a little bit and, try. I always believe you got to be responsible for the tax dollars and the money that's collected, but hopefully, also help out the taxpayers in the process. Like you said, you brought up, what it could be used for, and we're hoping that public works is included in there, because everybody likes to drive on a smooth road, and so if we can do more road activity, more road work, especially mill and overlay projects, that's better for the taxpayers and the members of the communities.
And that's something that not only does your community drive on, but people coming into Wisconsin Rapids drive on it as well. You and I have talked before about some state projects that you'd like to see accelerated, because there's people that drive through town that you say will purposely avoid some streets, especially if they're on a motorcycle, because of the shape that they're in.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that some of that might be alleviated in the next budget process. And we're hoping that it ends up in there and remains in there. And that would be, ultimately, I believe it's a state road, and it's their responsibility, and they need to take care of it.
Yeah, indeed. And so I guess right now, from what you're saying is if there is any increase in shared revenue, whatever that ends up being, that's going to be the $20 bill that you find in your jeans pocket after it goes through the wash a couple of times. You weren't planning on it, but now it's there, and maybe you can adjust the budget a little bit after the fact.
Yeah, it's not like we would, at least I went for a while, and probably as long as I'm here, I went. It's not about creating new spending. It's about hopefully maybe we borrow less because we do a road project borrowing every year, and hopefully maybe we can borrow less. But it's not about growing government and increasing spending.
Yeah, indeed. And again, this is something that we are certainly going to be watching over the next few weeks. I think we have until about the end of June or so before things may need to we get down to crunch time and this needs to be finalized. But I'm sure it's something that we'll be talking about going into the budget season as well. Another thing that you've got on the plates, you're looking at adjusting the hours at City Hall now. This is something that other areas have done as well, trying to give people maybe some extra time off on Fridays during the summer. Talk about what you're proposing and how long this trial is going to run.
So we do have a 6-month trial going on that's already started. It started the first Friday in May. But yeah, so it's we close at noon on Fridays now, very similar to other communities in the area. I've been here many Friday afternoons and the phone doesn't ring and nobody stops in. But I think it's also good for the employees and employee benefits of trying to attract and retain employees, since other municipalities are already doing it. It's to remain competitive in the workforce, and also it's they only get paid for the hours they work, but they will still be putting in their hours, but they're not getting free hours. So it's I know I saw some people concerned about that, and we only get paid for the hours we work. So and that will continue, and we'll see in the 6 months, see how that goes. And like other communities have chosen to stay with it, but we will evaluate it after 6 months.
Yeah, and I know some of those communities have said, yeah, you don't get the foot traffic or anything like that on Fridays, not only because so much more is done online, through the mail, direct payment from the bank, whatever it may be. It's also because a lot of those people are thinking the same thing that your employees are. They want to get out of here so they can get an early start to the weekend.
Yeah, and we see that in private businesses in our community. And nothing against dental offices, but they've notoriously been closed on Fridays. And but there's other businesses too. I've seen businesses in our own community close at 2 o'clock. And so, it's just kind of people are not really thinking about city business on Friday afternoon, unless it's like, oh, I got to get a building permit. I forgot, and you can still, a lot of those are done online now. So yeah, we're going to try and see how it works out and look at the feedback, but
yeah, and this trial is gonna run through the early fall, and then after that, are you going to be, say, soliciting feedback from residents saying, hey, fill out the form online and let us know what you think?
Knowing how things are now, we will get constant feedback should there be an issue, and we can kind of accumulate that at that time. But I'm sure people that are unhappy with it will let us know, and it's really about accumulating the unhappy thoughts at this point, I think, because the people that don't care won't care either way.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll see where we'll check back in with that possibly in November or so after that's done. Another thing that's been one of your pet projects here, and yes, the pun is intended there. You've got an update on the dog park progress. Are we ready now to open the gates to the dog park, at least initially, in Wisconsin Rapids?
Not yet. So I've been out there. I've walked a new fence line. I've walked in the parks. I have seen some dog tracks in there already, so I know some people have kind of ventured in a little bit, but not much. It's not open. We are currently working on seeding. There's a lot of trees in there, but we do have an open area that we're seeding with grass seed. We kind of just don't want to have a big mud pit, and then I'm sure we'll start hearing feedback on muddy dogs. So we want to get the grass established, and we're figuring kind of mid to late summer that we would open it up. Want to get some mowings in on it and kind of make sure it's well established, and then have at it. We haven't figured out the distance yet, but the inside of the fencing will be a bark trail. So they will be able to, people can let their dogs run and while other people are walking around the tracks. And yeah, it's going to be nice. And it's huge. I walked in there, I kind of, once you see the fencing and you look to the other end, there really is going to be a very nice large dog park.
And then you are going to have it split up as well. There'll be a large dog area, small dog area. But right now it's all one. Is that correct?
No, actually there is two. There is a small dog area, and that's that fencing is up and it's looking good. Not a lot of work to do in there, and it's already pretty grass, well established grass, but they have some tree trimming to do and kind of cleaning up. And but yeah, that's also there, and it's a very large small dog park also. And we have to asphalt the parking lot yet and kind of get some landscaping done around there.
Right.
We ran a water line in, so between both entrances to the small and the big dog park, we will be providing water, and so we've got to get that hooked up yet, and some of those odds and ends that need to be done.
Yeah, indeed. But it sounds like you're well on track, though, to have this open later in the year. And then, of course, the other thing that we've been wondering is, are you going to have the agility equipment, some of the dog toys provided and set up in the park? Has there been any movement towards that yet?
So no, not yet, and we haven't kind of established a kind of a dog users group yet. I know we've got some fire hydrants for the dogs that we're going to have in there, but as for agility equipment and any of those kind of added extra things, they have not been discussed yet. But we're going to be open to discussions, and if people want to kind of take on, maybe a fundraiser or doing some of those activities, I do think there would be some areas that would be nice to maybe put up a pavilion and put some picnic tables in there. And I think there's a lot of ideas outside of what the city is taking responsibility for that people have options to do should they want to kind of champion the idea.
Indeed. Well, one more before we let you go. You do have the honor walk ready to go Memorial Day through Veterans Day. I understand 40 some banners this year are going to be up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, there's I can't remember the exact number, but it is 40 some. And I think there's a couple of repeats in there, but otherwise it's all new veterans. They'll be interested to see their pictures and a little bit on their story, and kind of looking forward to seeing those go up here.
And where can people take those in?
On Grand Avenue. So it'll be on Grand Avenue from our new YMCA all the way up across the east side to A Street up there.
And I know you've also in years past put out an accompanying booklet that has more on the veteran stories. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but these banners, though, the family gets to keep them as well, right?
Yep. So at the end of the year, we take them down and get them to the family members, and our Legion the Legion Post takes care of the booklets, and yeah, we'll have booklets available again, and always look forward to that time of the year. It's kind of, I always take Grand Avenue home, so I always get to see all the veterans banners.
Yeah, and again, one of those little things that it's the least we can do to say thank you for the sacrifice and for what they went through to help us be who we are today.
Yeah, it's a great thing to honor them.
Indeed. Well, Mayor Shane, we always appreciate the time. Look forward to chatting again next month.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mike.